It is Dom time. Welcome in. We got the first Supreme Court decision. Yeah, that'll be starting, and there's some biggies that'll be coming down between now and the end of June. They like to throw them out. They started with one that's interesting, just came down a while ago. It was a lawsuit by some parents against Google, maybe some others, because of some terrorism videos that the company allowed to be up, and one of their loved ones was killed. And the Supreme Court essentially, Dan, gave a victory to the tech companies by basically, I'm not going to go into the weeds, sidestepping it, indicating that for now, the tech companies can still hold themselves out to be more of a town square than I guess the battle is they're a newspaper or something like that. Uh, I I I have to say, this is not an easy case. We get the First Amendment, we get all those things, but I think these tech companies are not responsible in any number of ways with the stuff that they promote. And I do think they're more than just a town square where they're not responsible for anything. You're a little bit more the other way, though. You want to protect them.
I just think we need to determine what we want out of our social media services. Do we want an open bastion for free speech kind of market square ideology, or do we want them to have some kind of say in controlling speech? And when it was against conservatives and we had the disclaimers on there was a lot of, free speech is free speech. But at the same time as that happening, you had ISIS posting on Twitter, you had child pornography going out there.
Well, yeah, well, and again, so you're getting to the nub of it, though. I mean, there is in our country there is fire in a crowded theater. I would say a bunch of Islamo-fascists or anybody putting up videos, blowing up buildings, and egging people on to do that, or child pornography. I would argue that is fire in a crowded theater.
I agree.
I think you got to
I
be
agree.
very limited in this. And they don't want to. I don't understand why. Maybe it's too much trouble to do it. So we'll talk about that throughout the show as we get more information. But each day, maybe not Fridays, we're going to be hearing Supreme Court decisions on affirmative action. That's the one that I think this court, boy, if you think last year with the abortion decision, it was big. Wait until we get into this. If they don't sidestep it, if they go down Broadway on affirmative action and say it's finally time to stop this, essentially. I don't think they'll be that broad, but it could come down pretty close to that. Also, the rule on student loan debt, is that constitutional what Biden did? Answer, it's not. So we'll have it for you. I look forward to this time of the year because you get these on the fly, and it gives me a chance to practice my Rutgers Law Night School. No degree, but pretty close. How about an honorary degree in law? All right. There you go. Big story today, I think, and I will get into this after a very special guest, is the fact that Republicans are zoning in on something important here. With the debt ceiling, the clock is ticking. The date is sometime after Memorial Day. I've seen guesstimates of June 1st. And Biden is negotiating now, even though he said he would. Here's the thing, and this goes all the way back to 1996. You remember when Newt Gingrich and the boys skillfully got Bill Clinton to essentially end welfare as we knew it up until then. No work requirements, whatever. Now, you and I can agree it wasn't much. In other words, it didn't essentially cut into this in the appropriate way. But Democrats slowly but surely have brought us back to welfare payments of one sort or another, not meaning any work requirement. And Republicans are insisting on this. Here is Katie Porter. If you heard the interview with Bill Maher, Katie Porter is exactly the type of person that Bill Maher doesn't get along with. She's a progressive. She's nasty. I don't know if I would say she's Helen Gim nasty. I'll take that back. She's close. She's not Krasner nasty, but she's Helen Gim nasty. Listen to Katie Porter say Congresswoman Porter, work requirements are not designed to encourage people getting back on their feet and working. They're designed to punish people.
I'm not going to accept any work requirements that's going to impact on medical health needs of people. I voted years ago for the work requirements that exist, but it's possible there could be a few others, but not anything of any consequence.
Are you willing to support a bill that does include some increased work requirements for things like SNAP, food stamps, or TANF, cash aid, maybe Medicaid?
These work requirements are designed to punish people who need help. Everybody would love to be having a full-time job, being able to make ends meet, and not being relying on these government programs. The research is really clear. These work requirements simply don't work to force people into the marketplace. What they do is inflict harm on children and our seniors.
Well,
I think President Biden should hold the line on this. We want every American who can work to do so, but the best way to have them do that is to make sure that they have access to the food and medicine they need to thrive and be able to go out into the marketplace.
How many times have we heard this? How many times have they beaten the drum on this? Now, Biden is actually talking to Republicans about the SNAP program and some other programs, the food stamps. He's saying he's holding the line on Medicaid. If Republicans can push back on this and get work requirements in there, how do you feel about that? I think a lot of people say, you know what? I'm not sure this is going to matter that much in the life of that person. But you know what? For America, it does. You're not getting paid to sit home, have kids, the whole thing that we've gone through for 60 or 70 years on this. No, it's only 20 hours a week, too, on top of that. It's not the end of the world. So I have the community legal services here in Pennsylvania gone wild. It's an all-out assault on this. We'll talk about it throughout the show. Loving today what's going on in New York. You have parents and students protesting illegal immigrants in gyms, in gym class there, taking over. Adams doesn't know what to do, so he's pushing back on Biden a whole lot. So we'll talk about all that, but special guests coming up every year around this time. We used to talk with Gary Sinise. This year, I guess, Dan, he is really, he's the first name on the billboard.
Yeah, he's a big name. Joe Mantegna is coming on here.
Joe Mantegna. And we'll talk about him as Mr. Franchise, Dan. Godfather 3, Simpsons, Da Bears, and Criminal Minds.
You know how they do the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon?
Yes.
It should be the 7 degrees of Joe Mantegna. Because the guy seems he's been in everything out there at one part or another. So it's going to be very exciting to hear you speak with this guy. I'm looking forward to it.
It's a great event every year. The Memorial Day concert. It's it's Sunday, next Sunday, the 28th. They have Trace Atkins, John Slattery's doing something special. A lot of stuff around Vietnam veterans. We'll go through it all coming up here and take your calls, and I'll give you the side question on Talk Radio 1210. Dom Giordano Show. Welcome in. Big issues, big guest. And this annual event, every year in the past, we've spoken with Gary Sinise about it. This year, Joe Mantegna, the PBS National Memorial Day Concert, honoring our American heroes and their families live from the U.S. Capitol. It's quite an event, and they pay tribute to Gold Star families. And it's the 50th anniversary return of Vietnam War POWs. Wow. And the return of those veterans, we all know how troubled, how despicable it was in some ways when they came home, how they were not greeted. It's the 70th anniversary of the Korean War armistice, and there's a World War II remembrance. Trace Atkins, people like that there. It is a spectacular event. And Joe is, yeah, it is like 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You know, he is beyond belief. The number, there you go. That's probably his biggest franchise. Is he there?
Yeah, he's here. I don't know if it's, I mean, Criminal Minds is huge too, and internationally.
Yeah, but I saw him in the interview.
Yeah, but since
with
30
Rich.
plus years.
Yes, that's the ticket. Joe, welcome in. Thanks for joining us in Philadelphia.
Yeah, thank you. My pleasure.
Well, Joe, you are Mr. Franchise. I mean, Criminal Minds, The Simpsons, Da Bears, and Godfather 3. In addition to, how long have you been doing this event, you and Gary Sinise, the National Memorial Day Concert?
Yeah, well, I started in 2002, and
Wow.
I think and then I asked Gary to become involved with it. I think around 2004. So I've been doing it about 22 years now. Gary's been doing it about 19 years now. So yeah, we're in it for the long haul, and happy to be doing it.
Well, one of the things I like is, of course, the honoring of things, paying tribute to Gold Star families, but the history. You guys have a good eye for this. This year, the 50th anniversary of the return of Vietnam War POWs. Anything associated with that is always very moving. And it's the 70th anniversary of the Korean War armistice, the group that it was kind of the silent generation. And that war and the brutality of it all is just kind of lost in history.
Yeah, and that's what happens is that there will be these times of great conflict, and it gets everybody's attention, and everybody kind of rallies around that for a while, and then it ends, and then people get a little bit lax, and then all of a sudden something else happens. But in a way, that's why we have Memorial Day, and that's why it's such an important holiday, because we must never forget that there's been sacrifices that have been made for over 200 years by people, men and women throughout our history. You know, that we live the life we live because we stand on their shoulders, because of the sacrifices they made. I mean, there's no truer statement than freedom ain't free, but some people pay a greater price than others, and it's our job to make sure nobody forgets that. And this concert is a great way of, all I can say is take 90 minutes out of your 3-day weekend, watch this concert, and you'll understand why Memorial Day is such an important holiday. Certainly did that for me.
Without a doubt, the National Memorial Day Concert, PBS station, Sunday, May 28th from 8 to 9:30. And it's great artists. It's not just honoring, it's a show, it's entertaining, it's inspirational. It makes you feel, Joe, exactly what you just said about the country. How did you, I've talked to Gary about that, his role in that, and we know Lieutenant Dan Ban, he travels the country, the military, the stuff that he's done. How did you get into that? What was the connection that drew you to that originally?
Well, for me, I had a lot of family in the military, but fortunately, a lot of combat veterans from World War II in my family, they all came back. So Memorial Day never really had the same significance for my family as it did for many others. So I have to say, it was when I first was asked to do this concert in 2002 by my dear friend Charles Durning, the actor who was a Silver Star recipient himself from World War II, that when I did that concert that year, all of a sudden it became crystal clear to me, like, wow, Memorial Day isn't just for, the families who have lost loved ones in some sort of a conflict. It isn't just for military families. This is we've carved out this holiday for every single, American, because it's our time to pay tribute to those people who have made those sacrifices. And once you understand that, And like I said, I got that from that first concert, and it gets renewed every year. It makes you realize, at least in my mind, why Memorial Day is the most important holiday we celebrate in this country, because that's the holiday that allows us to have all the other holidays.
Well put.
Without the sacrifices of Memorial Day, there are no other holidays. There is no United States. So, I mean, it's as simple as that, really.
Joe, wanted to talk with you too. Your career, you are Mr. Franchise. How does one guy get inside stuff like Saturday Night Live, The Bears, Criminal Minds, Godfather 3, and Fat Tony, long and running? That you have a great eye, or they have a great eye to see longevity. I don't know of anybody in show business that has that many long-term projects.
Well, I guess I feel very fortunate that way. I know I'll be starting our 17th season of Criminal Minds is going to be coming up once we start shooting that again. And I've been doing Fat Tony for 32 years, which is absolutely my longest running role.
Wait a minute, we're both Italian. We're both Italian, Joe. Who's your inspiration for Fat Tony? Where did you get that from?
Well, I tell you, I don't have a specific inspiration for the character, but the voice definitely comes from my Uncle Willie, who was a World War II veteran himself. He was fought under Patton's army, and he kind of talked like this. And so, I mean, definitely Fat Tony was inspired vocally by my Uncle Willie, God rest his soul. And so that is my homage. That's my personal homage to a very important member of my family.
My producer, Dan.
And a veteran himself.
My producer has a question for you, Dan.
Yeah, Joe, just wondering, when you saw Tony Soprano and the success that Tony Soprano had, did you feel at all an inspiration for that character with Fat Tony?
Not really. Not really. Only because, to tell you the truth, I wasn't, like, at the time, I didn't watch The Sopranos. I didn't see a lot of that show because I didn't have HBO at the time or something, whatever it was. So, no, I mean, like I say, when they first gave me that script, mainly what it was is the movie The Godfather 3 had come out, and I think I was like this kind of very important gangster that year because of the film. I was the lead gangster in that movie, and so when they asked me to do this episode, I just thought it was going to be a one-shot deal. I just thought, okay, I'll do this one episode of The Simpsons. This looks like fun, and I thought I'd use my Uncle Willie's voice, mainly because I didn't want to sound like Joey Zaza, the character from Godfather 3, because I thought that would be kind of silly. The movie's still playing. This was 1991 when I did that first episode. And so, but it wasn't until they said, well, we'd like to have you back. We kind of like this character. And the next thing I know, I've been doing it for 30 years. So, no, it was just more like I said, using my Uncle Willie's voice and just playing a character like I do with every other character I play.
Joe, I saw you too in the interview with Eisen talking about Criminal Minds coming back and COVID and young people, under 30 or around 30, consuming it around the world, inviting you to high school college graduations. My God.
Right. I still get them. I get them every day. I probably get 5 or 6 invites, mostly young girls who I think they discovered the show later, during the COVID thing, and like a lot of fraternities, sororities, things like that, college campuses. So we have this whole new fan base, and it's worldwide. I mean, I think that's part of the reason why the show came back. I mean, we're now on Paramount Plus, and we already did one season. We're in a little bit of a writer's strike right now that's kind of curtailed some production for television for a little while until that gets resolved. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. You can't predict these kinds of things, but the show has done very well worldwide for many years.
What do people, parting question, Joe, I want to be sensitive to your time. And again, the PBS National Memorial Day Concert, 8 p.m. on the 28th till 9:30. What do people come up to you and ask you about Godfather 3? I think Godfather 2 is the greatest film ever, better than Godfather. You were actually in this, though. What's the takeaway from Godfather 3?
Well, I mean, I think it's just, first of all, I'm just honored to have been part of that trilogy, this trilogy of films that had obviously such an impact. And what's interesting, what I find is when there's a younger crowd, people who weren't even maybe born when the first 2 movies came out, they discovered this trilogy later. And there's a cross section of them that actually they tell me, oh, and you know what? Godfather 3 is my favorite. And I think, wow, that's interesting. And maybe it's because they didn't have this anticipation for what the third installment was going to be, because they'd grown up with the first one and the second one and were waiting for 18 years for this third one to come out. So, I mean,
Yeah.
so it's interesting. I think for different people, it's, different strokes for different folks. I mean, people are going to, embrace, their entertainment the way they want. And so it's like, so that's great. I mean, I'm personally just very, very honored and proud to have been, part of that trilogy of arguably some of the greatest films, ever made.
Oh, without a doubt. Joe, thank you, and thank Gary Sinise for what you're doing. This is a spectacular event. Again, local PBS station, 8 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. on May 28th. Joe, thank you. Thanks for coming on in Philadelphia. Let's do it again next year.
Great. Thank you very much.
All right. I was general there on the Godfather 3 question, Dan. I wanted to say, the wait was nice. He probably gets that a lot. So his point, people like you maybe go, oh, Godfather 3, it seems like a heck of a film. There was an 18, I forgot there was an 18.
Yeah, there's so much
18
anticipation that was built into that.
Yes, 18-year gap.
So if you're just take off your bias cap of
Yeah.
the wait there, is the film that insignificant compared to Godfather 2?
Oh, yes.
You think so?
It's hard to believe. Yeah, they just ran out of stuff. Al Pacino is not.
Yeah.
It's just, how I can tell they glommed on to the Vatican corruption with the banks and everything else going on. But I do like the scene where they get him in a hotel room and they shoot at him from a helicopter.
And Zaza himself is a great foil.
Oh,
So,
yeah, exactly. But no, about halfway through the first time I saw it, I went, oh, man. And I never really believed Godfather 2 until Lou Gall and I were talking about it one day. It's got to be 15 years ago. And yes, Godfather's 2 is better.
One question I would have loved you to ask, Joe, but
Yeah.
I know you can't. It's just how much money is this guy making off of syndication at this point? 'Cause
Well,
he's got The Simpsons, he's got
Yeah.
Criminal Minds. He's got to be.
I looked
doing
at his
well.
net worth, and 3 guesstimates said over 25 million. So,
Wow.
yeah,
Good for him. Good
Simpsons,
for Joe.
Criminal
Seems like a
Minds.
really nice guy too.
I'm sure Godfather, there's royalties. I don't know about the Bears. They're probably trademarks and all. Probably gets $1 million a year just in residuals.
Wow.
Yeah. Not bad. Nice
He's
guy,
good.
too. Very nice
Yeah,
guy.
really nice guy.
All right. So phone lines are 855-839-1210, AT&T, and Verizon Wireless. You just push pound 1210. Let me give you the side question since we just dealt with someone
Hold on,
mega
can I
famous.
say something?
Yeah.
I got like someone on YouTube and Jim up here also saying that, I know Fat Tony came out before Tony Soprano. That's why I asked the question whether or not he felt Tony Soprano was inspired by Fat Tony.
Oh, I thought he was thinking you were asking, did you copy Tony Soprano?
No, I was asking if he felt pride.
I know, but I heard it that way.
Well, then he said though that
Yeah.
the show was already on when I think he recognized the question.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I didn't recognize it. I don't know why. I was
Because
a little
now when
off.
you watch it, you think of Fat Tony and Tony Soprano as like
Right.
you think of Fat Tony as a parody of Tony Soprano, but no, that's wrong. It was Fat
Yeah.
Tony was first, and then Tony Soprano came on.
Yeah, definitely. So our side question today, we want to know, it bubbled up yesterday, as sometimes really good side questions do from what we were doing. We want to know someone significant, someone accomplished, famous, of any walk of life from the 4 counties, not Philadelphia, suburban, and we're including South Jersey. So, Dan, I'll take off the board. Bruce Willis.
Oh, good one.
Always
Yeah.
loved his work. Now with the, situation, the difficulty he has even more. Even in the remake of Death Wish, I went into that thinking, oh, no, this is Bronson. You can't do Death Wish. He was really good. So Bruce Willis is Penns Grove, New Jersey.
Oh,
That's where
really?
I have him from. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll take well, first I'll take Kellyanne Conway off the board. Why not?
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
See, that
Hamilton, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And then also go ahead. Sorry.
Blueberry Capital.
Yeah. And how about rest in peace, but from Abington, Bob Saget.
Yeah, and don't start tweeting and saying, "Oh, he's not from the." That's officially on the show.
Well,
where
I
he's
mean,
from.
he was born in Philly, but then
Yeah.
he grew up. Moved
That's
to
what he's
Virginia and
known
then
for.
grew up in
Yeah.
Abington. He went to high school in Abington, graduated high school in Abington.
Yeah.
So he's known for being from the suburbs.
Yeah, that's exactly what he's known for. All right, so 855-839-1210. Give us somebody significant. Now, the other thing, Republicans here it's not the 11th hour, it's the 10th hour, I'd say, though, are pushing back on Joe Biden with some degree of success to say, all right, if we're going to raise this debt ceiling, we want cuts, and also these various government programs, we want people to work 20 hours a week. Well, this has set off people on the left unbelievably. They just see this as here's one. It's a Pittsburgh paper. A debt ceiling deal can't come on the backs of Pennsylvanians in need. We should be supporting families, not imposing work requirements that don't work. So as a condition of averting a default, they want work requirements for SNAP and TANF and the Medicaid. Biden won't go for Medicaid. That'll probably be dropped. This editorial says most people receiving benefits are already working, cannot work because of disabilities or caregiving responsibilities, or are facing short-term crisis and will work again within the year. But work requirements add onerous paperwork, obligations that few people in poverty can meet. Cutting off cash assistance, food stamps, or health care will not help anyone get a job or achieve long-term stability. Now, this is always the argument you hear on the left. I played you Katie Porter. And the comment back to this is, how many generations, all the way back to the infamous LBJ, Lyndon Baines Johnson, the architect of most of this stuff more than any progressive or any Democrat. How much have we spent? What has that done to America around welfare, SNAP, even Medicaid? All right. Now, the Medicaid Republicans may not hold firm to, not sure. But on the other two, yeah, this is playing out in Dan, we should have taken one off. We took it off yesterday, so we got somebody with it. You checked the board there. I don't
I mean, do you want to give him credit for listening yesterday? We didn't say it today.
All right. We'll get to him in a moment.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
I should have taken that one off because that's such a
It's
good
such a
one.
good answer. Yeah.
Yeah. But the work requirements thing, why do people want this? Because it galls them to see what we've seen since LBJ. Just umpteen people, and we've all had that experience. You know, you're in line at checkout, and somebody that is using food stamps, SNAP, some kind of government program, they're buying stuff that you probably said, I don't know if I should buy that. Too expensive, particularly with inflation. And there's resentment. There's resentment. How does this go on? And since Biden, all the money spent during COVID has added to it, people know intuitively it attacks the work ethic. That's a large part of it. And Republicans are making that argument as we speak on the debt ceiling. And I think even Biden might be seeing the wisdom on SNAP and the welfare program, maybe not Medicaid. He might win on that. So is this just to punish people? I don't think so. Yeah, it does say to people 20 hours a week. Well, that's onerous. You're just trying to punish people. These people just need this assistance, no strings attached. How long have we had this argument? This time, though, with the debt ceiling, it appears to me that Republicans are digging in on this. It appears to me they're digging in general. Let's go to Mace in Maple Shade on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Mace, welcome in.
Hey, how you doing, Dom?
Good.
First of all, let me just tell you, I'm very disappointed you can't drive a stick.
Oh.
He still drives with 2 feet, though. He's halfway there.
Yeah, there you go. I got the footwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I knew a guy up in Elizabeth, New Jersey, had a bodega, little convenience store. He would, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. Let me get rid of my GPS. He would he would buy food stamps. People would bring their SNAP in, and he would give them cash, 50% of the value.
Yep, it goes on routinely, and every once in a while we see someone busted for doing millions of dollars of this. Yep.
He got busted. He spent a couple years in jail, but he's got a condo that's paid for. He's got a, he did his time, and he's, got the money cash, tax free. It's crazy.
I hear you. Thank you, Mace. Dan, out of the blue, too. What is it about not driving a stick?
Yeah, where'd that come from? We didn't talk about it today.
Why would I want to drive a stick?
Just to know, I can't drive stick either. So,
I have no desire to do that. You know what I mean? I'm having enough trouble. The car's in the shop and I'm driving an SUV around. I despise the SUV. Parking that in this area, I need a car about the size of the desk here to park, Okay. So we are looking for
All right, so on Twitter, the first
Yeah.
answer off the board was from Michael. Says
Yeah.
Bill Cosby can't believe it wasn't taken off the board. Let's use
no.
Michael as an
Yeah, he's
example.
Philadelphia.
Yeah, Bill Cosby's Philadelphia. We want specifically Philadelphia suburbs.
Yes,
People that are
or
known for
and
being
South
from the
Jersey.
suburbs.
We're
Yeah,
including South
yeah.
Jersey as a
Delaware will
suburb.
include
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't know who the most famous Delawarean is.
Joe Biden.
By the way, oh yeah, that's right.
Oh,
I forgot to
gosh,
forget.
yeah.
Wait a minute. I got a story coming up. So since you mentioned Delaware, I'll go to it. This is a bachelor party or a bachelorette party, whatever the women call their parties, right?
Bachelorette party.
All right. Which state in the country admits in this survey to being the most unfaithful during said process of that week of the bachelorette parties? And which is
Nevada.
the most faithful? That's a good guess, but no. Wait until you hear who it is.
I
It
think I
kind of-
know.
Yeah, there was a little segue there. All right, we have that. We have the work requirements thing that I just told you. And Mace is right. There has been an underground industry. LBJ is just infamous. He is the worst American president, in my view, because what he unleashed, other progressives, Biden, Obama, and all have added to it. We know that. But he's the one that unleashed all those programs that don't go away. And work isn't part of it. So Republicans holding firm saying, all right, you want to increase these benefits, debt ceiling, and all that. Here's what we're going to do. You're going to have to work 20 hours a week as a requirement. Now, whether that's actually, somebody you want working for you that does those 20 hours a week, they might be a reluctant worker. Okay. Republicans want it on the books, though. They're pushing back on this. And Biden has said he'd negotiate that, but not Medicaid. That's progress. All right. 855-839-1210. That's how you get on board. And by the way, Dan, the chair I mentioned is still outside.
I don't know if you saw me laughing back here, but Zarv Trenton got me going with a tweet that he sent. And he said, "Hey, Dom, is it true that the city has enclosed your Barca Lounger in a box until they decide what to do with it?"
Yeah, that's
Seems that's the solution for everything they
Bro
do.
keeps on saying whatever that big truck is. She keeps on the big truck. They pick up the big things. They'll be coming
Do you
by.
think there's listeners out there that are scouring the streets right now looking for a Barca Lounger on the
tell me if you
curb?
find it. It's you just
We're gonna
look
get a
at it,
picture on Twitter at some point and say, "Hey, it's in my family room now."
No, bro will not allow it. That's where we're. I have to admit, I tried the new chair out last night. Not bad, except I should have sat in it. It can move easily side to side.
Oh no.
I like the firmness of it. Once you sit in it, it just stays.
There's no way to
there.
lock it?
No, they took that part off.
Oh
Yeah.
man.
It's not bad though. It's not horrible. Well, it is horrible. I'd rather have the Barca Lounger.
So hold on. If you're like reclining, is it one of those chairs that when you're reclining, it slowly shifts to the side? Okay,
no,
good.
No, it's just a little bit. The front part of it can go back and forth a little
Okay.
bit. I'll get used to it, sadly. Roe didn't like the idea of burying the Barca Lounger somewhere on the property.
The idea of trash picking, is that something you support?
Yes.
Yeah?
Yeah, within reason, sure.
But so you put yours out to the curb yesterday.
Yes.
It hasn't rained overnight.
Right.
You think it's still appropriate to trash pick something that's been out there for at least 24 hours?
Sure. It's a perfectly good chair. Well, it needs a little bit of work.
And I'm not saying that you have them because there's absolutely you're a very clean individual. I don't think you would ever have these, but bed bugs. You're not concerned about bed bugs and trash picking furniture?
Oh, well, I didn't say I'd be trash picking. You asked about trash pickers. Do I think it's okay?
Yeah. I think we could say that your chair's probably clean though.
Oh, it's very clean.
Maybe some smells coming out of it, but
yeah. Well, it's just it looks so contorted, like it can't even go to put out of its misery. We can't even get it there. All right. Tell people how they can see all this good stuff.
I just put myself up there because they're saying, "Where's Dan?" I'm here. YouTube.com/@1210WPHD. YouTube.com/@1210WPHD. Please go like and subscribe. We do Dining with Dom every day, and you can see a visual of Dom and his flailing arms as he talks throughout the entire first hour.
Two Italians with Joe.
We're gonna tie your hands together one time and see if you can do a radio
I don't feel
show.
I do that at all.
You just did it.
Oh no, I may have to. I may have to disallow.
Wait, hold on. You just did it again.
All right, I may have to disallow this on
City guy.
line 3. I don't know if that's a suburb. Look at line 3, a suburb of Philadelphia. We'll take his answer, but I'm
might be too far.
Boy, that's pretty far for suburban Philadelphia. Okay.
Well, I think it's Reading.
Yes, I don't think that's suburban Philadelphia.
You don't think
Reading's like
counts?
100 miles away.
Yeah, you're.
Yes. I've only been to Reading once. Try the veal. All right. Let's talk about my friend, dentist, board certified prosthodontist, Dr. Robert Bentz of the Bentz Dental Group in East Norriton. I always enjoy telling you about Dr. Bentz. He loves to solve problems. Sherelle Parker, we're waiting for an update. How's the dental thing there? I could have Dr. Bentz ready to go right over there, mobilize, take out the whole instrument there. But whatever your issues are, Dr. Bentz is the guy that other dentists send patients to. And if you or a family member have been avoiding going to the dentist due to fear or anxiety, even if it's been years, Dr. Bentz offers sedation dentistry to make your visit a pleasant experience. So if you've been putting off a nagging minor problem, take care of it now before it gets worse. From routine care to dental implants, on-site digital lab that we love talking about, to the great staff, the one and only Dr. Bentz will make you comfortable, and this will be convenient for you. Get the oral care you need and deserve and that beautiful smile. It's the BentzDentalGroup.com, BENTZ, dentalgroup.com, or 610-272-6949.
Cause we will be alive, just broken. People to people are so unjust.
Dom to your Dano show. Welcome in 855-839-1210. You get on board. Friend of the show, Albert Eisenberg, smart guy on the Republican side, on his Twitter, Dan, says, now I know how California and New York can bring back the middle-class families that are fleeing, and they are. Montana, I guess it was yesterday or the day before, passed a ban on TikTok. And I agree with banning TikTok in America. Now, I know legally it's hard to do. I agree with it for two reasons. One, it's an obvious attempt to spy on us, and it's an obvious attempt by the Chinese government to weaken the kinds of things that we see kids doing. The number of deaths have to be into the thousands, if not millions. Well, not millions, but tens of thousands of people that get caught up in one way or another. It's just amazing to me, just stunning. So I would be in favor of it, but he's got some statistics here. A survey says that 1 in 4 Americans and 2 in 5 Gen Zers and millennials would consider moving if the state they lived in issued a ban on an app that they regularly used. Morningconsult.biz says in a poll out today. Now, whether these people now, wait a minute. I'm supposed to believe that threat, though. You had people that despise the regulation, the taxes, and everything about Phil Murphy's hair in Jersey, and yet they don't move, right? We hear all these stories and all the time, but they don't move because, there's something that keeps them there. So this banning of TikTok mainly, I don't know if Montana banned anything else. I certainly think it's a good idea, but apparently there are some drawbacks
So
to
you're
it.
telling me people will move to a state that does indeed ban, or they'll move out of a state that bans?
They'll move out of a state that bans.
Really?
Yes.
Ugh.
All right. That gesture was the computer's restarting. I tried everything not to restart it
Oh, it's
here.
doing that
Yeah,
update thing.
yeah.
It's so
It's
annoying. The
a
forced
communist.
updates.
It's a communist Chinese
Right.
party.
Hold
Yeah.
on, let's get the appropriate music for these computers.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yeah. There
Now
you go.
knocking the host off over here.
Yes. I mean, I don't need the computer, but all right. Let me take
Well,
some of these.
I'm sorry, just on
Yeah.
TikTok real quick. It's definite. I'll rant. I can rant forever about TikTok. But what's happening with TikTok now is kids 13, 14 are trying to get on it, and then parents who don't want their kids on TikTok have to explain to their kids why they don't want them on TikTok, and it becomes an issue with the kid. And I don't know, just ban the damn thing. It's really detrimental
Well,
to our future.
I kind of think that's a parental thing to deal with that. But in broad strokes, it's a communist Chinese party. And if some other, imagine if we try to undermine them by some kind of an American TikTok or something.
Would never fly.
No. Why should we have to engage in this stuff and continue? All right, I got people waiting though, Dan. I can't bring them up. You'll have to. So
Cool.
on our side question, give us somebody prominent, somebody famous from the suburbs / South Jersey. All right, who's our first there?
First, we'll go with Rich.
Hey, Rich, thanks for the wait. Go right ahead. Who do you have today, and tell us why?
No problem. Very easy answer. I'm a United States Marine and a Vietnam veteran. So the name LBJ or Lyndon Baines Johnson rings very, very true to me.
Yeah.
And that got me thinking. And I came up with some good wartime guys. And from Cheltenham is a fellow by the name of Bibi Netanyahu.
Exactly.
And he would
He and his brother, Benjamin Netanyahu, both of them, Cheltenham High School.
Right.
That is a good one. Thank you. Thanks for the call. I'll take Cheltenham High School's Hall of Fame off, Dan, though, because,
You want to take the entire thing off?
well, they have Mark. Well, no, wait a minute. I'll let that somebody called in. The Netanyahus. They have the guy who had the second heart transplant. People, they have a highfalutin Hall of Fame.
Well, let's go to Susan. Susan has an answer from
Yeah.
Cheltenham as well. Susan?
All right, Susan, who do you have?
The great one, Mark Levin.
Yeah, Mark
Born in
Levin's.
Philadelphia, raised in Elkins Park.
Yeah, that is a tremendous. I don't know if he's in their Hall of Fame. Maybe not. Their political sensibilities are a little bit
Is Mark
different.
Levin here on the
Right.
show today? I don't know if he's around.
Yeah. I don't know about that. You're not beating out a Netanyahu. You're not a prime minister.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mark. That's a big time endorsement. I like when he used an expression a lot of people don't get it unless you really listen. Backbenchers. He calls people backbenchers who are like not a, prominent. So that backbencher. Yeah. 855-839-1210. All right, get on board with that. Coming up, I did News Nation with Dan Abrams yesterday. This win of Sherelle Parker has set national media talking about it here in Philadelphia. That may be a little bit of an overstatement about progressives getting waffled here, but I'll tell you what I said about it and where it goes next here in Philadelphia and progressives and Helen Gim here on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, welcome in, everyone. Dan, I after the show got to make a decision. I have a national guy, ABC, nice guy too. Just want some background on Doug Mastriano. So I'm
He
torn.
comes to you for that.
Well, yeah, no, this guy's good. He's not a typical media guy. I had experience with him before during the midterms, right? But it's still ABC and all that. It's a little bit. But on the other hand, I'm duty bound to stop Doug Mastriano.
Yeah.
I mean, there are still people out there, and I know some of them. Why are you so adamant about this? How much destruction does one person have to cause? Do you get it? How destructive this whole thing is? It stuns me that we still have to go through this. All right, so it's 855-839-1210. I was on News Nation yesterday. I think it's up on their website with Dan Abrams, who's a smart guy, and he's very interested in Sherelle Parker. I'm looking at an Associated Press story headline. Philadelphia's likely next mayor could offer a model for how Democrats should talk about crime. Now, I think this is an overreach here a bit. In other words, they're making it that Sherelle Parker is not liberal on some things. There's something afoot here with this. How did she talk about it differently than other Democrats? Well, she did talk, particularly for a city like Philadelphia, about more cops, about stop and frisk. Terry
I
stops.
also offered a solution. I said we should rehire retirees without stopping their pension benefits, have them on desk duty or inside the office doing administrative work, and get able-bodied men and women, back on the street.
Joining us now is Dom Giordano, longtime Philadelphia radio show host on WPHT, tapped into the pulse of the city, tends to be right of center, but has interviewed Sherelle Parker several times on his show. Thank you so much for coming on. Appreciate it. So how did she win this one?
Well, Dan, she won because she is a joyous campaigner. She's a longstanding person with all kinds of relationships of the Democrat Party machine. And because she made good common sense, she distinguished the type of Terry stop, she calls it, the Supreme Court case that she would do. She talked about having a son who's 11 years of age, African-American son, and how she's unapologetic that she wants him to be safe, but that this must stop, this carnage that's going on in Philadelphia. Okay, so that's the point that I made. In other words, they're thinking, has she unlocked something here? I think it's more of a local. It's her personality on this. She's against safe injection sites. And she did do very well. Here's why I'm hoping that this is even bigger than I suspect, Dan. Does the Sherelle Parker win indicate? Now, some people go wild. It indicates, oh, man, Larry Krasner is going to go down the next time when he runs, right? I'm not saying that. I wish that. But does it indicate that in many neighborhoods in Philadelphia where it's daily carnage, that with the right candidate against Krasner, those communities are starting to get it, and you have some kind of shot at them voting in their self-interest here against Krasner? Who are the people that are still the main supporters of Krasner? Rock solid. It's these progressive white creeps who live in neighborhoods that are relatively, by and large, insulated from all this. These are the people that are turned on by all this. That's the Helen Gim crowd. That's the Larry Krasner number one. They love all these experiments and all. Why? Because they're not going to be damaged by them, by and large. It's the people in these neighborhoods that Sherelle Parker reached that know what it's like. Could they connect the dots and see Larry Krasner as the biggest problem? I still haven't heard, Dan, from her, from Alan Dom, from any of them that ran. And I know it's hard. How would they confront Larry Krasner? What would they do? They offered various things and all. It's not easy. Taking this guy on is going to take a lot. But I'm hopeful her win indicates that you might be able to reach enough people by the time he's up again. I know that's a lot of ifs. All right. But He's not like these other Soros-backed attorneys. Several of them have had to quit. They've been driven out of office. Krasner is going to be tougher. All right, let's go to Brian in Center City. Brian, you're on Talk Radio 1210. Hey, Brian, good afternoon. What do you have today?
How you doing? The Cheltenham High School is Reggie Jackson also went there also.
Oh, that's right, too. Yes. What did he have? 530 home runs, something like that, I think. At least. Yeah.
I don't know. He's a big deal, though.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
a big deal. And,
he was one of the
and
greatest
Bob
franchise
Saget,
players.
too. Bob Saget went there also.
Abington High School.
He went to Abington.
Yeah,
I
right
think.
next door.
Yeah, right next door. Yeah. But Reggie's a good one. Yeah, Reggie Jackson is, I think he's in the top 100 players ever. And at one point, he was one of the first really mega deals. And if you like fighting in the dugout, he and Billy Martin were throwing haymakers at each other, and Martin was the manager. Yeah, Reggie Jackson was, and he's out there. He's got podcasts and everything else.
Do you know the name Little Dicky by chance?
No.
It's a new rapper. He has a show called Dave on FX,
Right.
but he's another guy that's from Cheltenham. It seems like everybody comes out of that
Oh,
town.
Cheltenham is it's sad what that school's turned into, Dan. This used to be a high achiever area. Levin, Netanyahu's, people like that. The second heart surgeon in the world, the second transplant, Reggie Jackson. All right, big 1 o'clock hour. I want to lead with girls wrestling is officially sanctioned girls wrestling teams in Pennsylvania, and I think that's a good thing. A little bit later on, we're going to talk with Mark Houck today. He is the pro-life person who was taken in by the FBI, and he testified in Congress. The FBI saying it didn't go down that way, and he talks about his kids being traumatized. He testified yesterday or the day before. He'll be with us too, and Dom's Money Melody, all on Talk Radio 1210.